Hello and welcome to episode 159 of the Arena Regulars podcast. I'm Zach,
And I'm Jeff.
and we're your source for drunken Magic the Gathering arena content.
That's right, just a couple of regular guys drinking some irregular beers and talking about Magic the Gathering, in particular, the online client MTG Arena.
Yeah, and this has got to be the first time that we are covering a modern set. Not modern like it's new, modern as in the modern format.
And
It's
we
kind
only
of
cover really old sets. That's our thing.
I mean, there are podcasts that are all about covering old sets, but that's not what we do here.
Not usually arena podcasts.
No, not really. Yeah, the really old set of Ravnica.
Dominaria.
Yeah. Um, but anyway, no, we were talking about Modern Horizons 3 because it is coming to Arena and because it will be affecting Timeless and Historic, but mostly Timeless, which is a format that we look forward to and play often. So this is a fun episode. We get like the supplemental set of the summer actually matters to us, which is new. So that's very cool.
Yeah, this is the first time we've looked at, what I call like a powered set, I guess, in the
Hmm.
context of this show. Normally I just get to ignore all of this because I'm not going to play with these cards.
Hmm.
But this time it's like, this matters to me. And if any one of these cards were in another set I'd be typically looking at, I'd be like, ooh, this is a card worth talking about. So when I'm looking at this list, I'm just like, I don't know what to
Yeah.
do.
There's so many cards. There's so many. Everything seems really exciting. So it's really difficult to be like, which ones are going to be important for us? Or is this just a modern card? Or is this actually just a commander card? Or I don't really know.
Or maybe it's terrible. I don't know.
Yeah,
They're so complicated. Sometimes they might just suck.
yeah, there's so many words. Maybe you just add some extra ones in there on accident.
Yeah,
Or take some out that are really important that make it worse.
my
Anyway,
brain does do that.
before we get to that, each week we drink a beer. We rate it on scale from bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena. So, Jeff, with that, what is on tap?
All right. I'm super excited for this. The thinking here is very simple. Big set, big beer.
Hmm.
So I will tell you a little minor story. So
Oh.
we are revisiting Judicial, which,
Hmm.
as I've mentioned before, we've done a couple of times the past few weeks here, is my favorite brewery. And they actually have a beer that they call Moralité. It's French for morality. And it's a American pale ale. And it's actually one that they brew with uh, Hetty Topper, the Alchemist Brewing.
Gotcha.
So they're in Vermont and Digicel's in Montreal. They're very close to each other, and so they collaborate often. And one of the beers they collaborated on was Moralité. And that was one of my favorite pale ales when I got it at the brewery in Montreal. And so when I was picking out some DDC beers, I saw that they have an imperial version called Immoralité.
Mm.
And you can see it's an American Imperial IPA coming in at 9.2%. I don't see anywhere that this was in, like, that they worked with The Alchemist on this one, but the original was a collab they did with The Alchemist, but it was like a collab that was like The Alchemist, I guess, came to them to help, or like it was their beer, but The Alchemist helped with it kind of thing.
Nice.
So yeah, if now you know that one thing about me. I loved Moralité. And another thing you might know about me is that I love the imperial versions of IPAs, twice as Mad Tom being an absolute legend. So
That's exactly what I was thinking when you were mentioning this. I was like, is this like twice as Mad Tom? Which is a
yeah.
fantastic beer.
So
So,
I do have high hopes.
hmm.
I've been excited for this one. And what better time than with a super high powered set to like
Mm.
drink the high powered version of a great beer.
Awesome, Jeff. Let's get into this. Let's crack it open with the Kraken on the picture on the
Cracking it.
can.
Oh boy.
All right. With that, we have some magic news. Like I was saying before, Modern Horizons 3 is coming out. It's coming out in June, but spoilers have just started as of the 21st of May, which is only a few days ago. And man, the world is a buzz already, which is quite exciting.
Yeah.
We've been seeing a lot of Modern Horizons just because of all the leaks that had happened. We've talked about that on the show because Wizards also kind of had to talk about it. Um, but honestly, it hasn't really soured my excitement for these spoilers. Um, it was kind of a damper on Outlaws of Thunder Junction, but getting into the actual spoilers of this set, there are still so many cards I didn't even see in the leaks that was just like really exciting. So, um, still sweet, still exciting, and I'm happy. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I agree. Although I will caveat that with like I did try to avoid the leaks
That's true.
wherever
Yes.
possible.
Hmm.
So if you're someone who sought them out, then maybe some of these cards won't be
As
surprising.
hmm.
But there is also that added sort of fun of even if you were reading all the leaks, there's definitely a bunch of cards that you were trying to fill in the blanks on some questionable imaging that
Yes.
appeared. And so seeing the full version kind of gets that, I was right, or oh no, wow, that's
It's
totally
like,
different.
oh, this is like so much better than I thought.
Yeah.
As we've
So
seen in
they can still have that to it too.
totally, like we've seen in the past where cards have been like the mana costs have been off or something, and things look really good, and then when you actually see the card, it's like, oh, that is 2 mana more than I thought it was. That makes it so much
Oof.
worse, or things like
Yeah.
that. Um,
Forgetting what card that happened with semi recently, but I think maybe it was the Teferi or something. People thought it cost 3 and it actually cost 4. Or there was some card like that where
there was that like mono white card that was really good in Dominaria that looked like it cost 2, but it actually cost 4.
right.
Still did something for Dominaria United, but it
But people
wasn't
were like, this
nearly.
is the best card ever.
Yeah, and then it was like, oh, this is actually like fringe playable. Like I don't even
Yeah.
know if you can do that.
Yeah, dude,
Um,
2 mana's a lot.
we also have some really big news. So, um, when Timeless started in back in December of 2023, it was with the release of Cons of Tarkir onto Arena, which was really exciting and lots of fun. Going back and playing that set was awesome. But the fetch lands came with Cons of Tarkir, specifically the allied fetch lands, which means all the colors that touch each other. So it's like white blue, blue black, black red, red green, green white. Those are the allied colors. And Modern Horizons 3 was coming out, and we're like, oh, this is so exciting. They usually have fetch lands in that. Oh, wait. Didn't Modern Horizons 2 have fetch lands in it? And those were the enemy colors? So now we're just getting reprints of the allied colored fetches again in Modern Horizons 3. Oh, that kind of sucks. Oh, what a bummer for arena players. Yuck. Well, they decided to fix that for us. They have given us the opportunity to get all the enemy fetch lands. They're not in the actual set for Modern Horizons 3. As far as we know, for Arena, they're not draftable. You can't draft these cards, but they do have a bundle that you can buy. Just get all of them right away. It's pretty expensive. It's like, I think it's 8,000 gems and 40,000 gold, which is
40K
pretty
gold. Yeah.
it's pretty steep for one of these anthologies. Usually, I think it's like 25 gold or something, or 25,000. Sorry. Um, so that's like a little bit expensive, but you can still craft them. So they are on Arena. You can craft them as rares, like you would normally do, and that is how I recommend you get them if you need them. Because now, if you have the other fetches, at this point, you don't need most of the time you can get away with kind of playing off color fetches, quote unquote, because they do what you need them to do. And yeah, it's just good. It's nice to have all the fetches on Arena. Great job. Hooray.
Yeah, I think if you think about it in terms of like um, wild cards,
Hmm.
I think there was some napkin math I saw somewhere, but basically 4 rare wild cards, let's say, is about 7,000 gold.
Hmm.
And so 7 times 5 is 35. So if you were to just pay it in wild cards, the sort of gold equivalent of that is 35,000. So 40,000 is a little expensive. But I don't know. It's not crazy expensive. It's not super unreasonably priced, but it feels like you're better off just using wild cards.
Yeah, and that's normally what we say about these anyway. The one thing
Right.
about this one is that you would actually use all of the fetch lands,
Right.
as opposed to most of the other anthologies. It's like you only need like five of the cards or things like that. Like you're excited for the 25 cards, but you don't need all of them. Um, this is 20 cards, but they're lands, so you will use them. Um, I'm just
Yeah.
saying that I personally am not going to buy the bundle. I already bought one of each. I already just crafted one of each just to make sure that I could actually have them, and I will buy them. Oh, sorry, I will craft them when I need them as I build decks. But having the option is just so fantastic, and I was not expecting that at all. So this is really great.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, it's just great that they're throwing them out there. And
Boom, more of this, more just cards that are
yeah.
like just potholes. Fill the potholes arena. Like, please, just put them in. Um, we also have an arena open this weekend, May 25th and the 26th. It is Outlaws of Thunder Junction Limited, which I'm actually going to play in this one. I usually don't get to, but I'm working nights now at my job on the weekend. So that means I have time on Sunday, if I make day two, to actually play and complete a run.
Hey, that's great.
So that is exciting. I'm very happy for that. Woohoo! Feels
How
good.
long has it been since you played in one of these?
I feel like it's been a while just because I usually work brunch and so like
Right.
I'm literally
Just
there on
kills it
Sunday.
completely.
Yeah, there's just no reason to do it. Um, but uh but yeah, whenever I can, it's always fun and I'm excited for that. Okay, Jeff, let's get right into things. We got lots of cards to talk about. We probably don't need to burn through all of them because obviously we're going to be talking about this for a little bit going into June and obviously when it comes out and the draft set and all that stuff.
For sure.
But we have some exciting things to get off our chest. First of all, um, there's a bunch of free spells, I think, are the exciting thing, if we can start there. That we already knew about two of the free spells in the cycle that we had
Mhm.
seen. Flare cycle. So that was Flare of Denial and Flare of Cultivation. Those are two of the free spells. The blue one and the green one, where you can pay the cost or sacrifice a non token creature of the corresponding color to cast it for free. But now we have the white one, the black one, and the red one. Um, and these are going to be pretty big, I'm assuming, for Timeless, just because we finally get free spells. We haven't had that in Timeless, and they'll probably be format warping, and people will be cramming them into stuff as much as they possibly can until they either realize they're not certain ones aren't worth it, or there'll be one that floats to the top, and blah 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 blah. But let's get into them. Uh, Jeff, do you want to read your favorite one that's the of the last three?
Sure. Let's read Flare of Malice.
Hmm.
This is two black, black for an instant. They all have this rider, but the black one would say you may sacrifice a non-token black creature rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Each opponent sacrifices a creature planeswalker with the greatest mana value among creatures and planeswalkers they control. So this is a classic effect or like classic in the sense that they've been doing it a lot now. Um, they released like printing these types of cards recently, and I really like them as well. These edict effects that actually force your opponent to sack something that doesn't suck
Hmm.
are really nice. It's you know the exile version is the only way I combat Vein Ripper and Explorer at the moment.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah. Was Soul Shatter?
Soul Shatter makes them sacrifice, I think, so
Okay.
you would
Yeah,
still
have it in the
get drained.
graveyard.
I think it's
Oh,
Blot
sure.
Out is the card, but I
Oh.
think it was one of those like weird extra cards.
Oh, it's
Uh,
Aftermath card. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Very
but
cool.
yeah, they like printing this stuff, and they play really well. I like these cards because they're a little clunky. They tend to generally be better than a removal spell in a lot of situations because you were going to point your removal at that thing anyways.
Hmm.
And this gets around stuff like hexproof. Um, but they also don't always get what you want. So there are those situations where you're like, man, I really want to kill the Sorin, but they have this stupid Bane Ripper that they're gonna have to sacrifice. Um, so these are just really well designed cards, I think. I'm glad to see that this is what the black one is. Now, I have to admit on this cycle in total, not to like put a damper on the next two cards, but I'm just not much of a buyer on these. I want to wait and see. I want to wait and
Hmm.
see if other people start playing these and using them in more creative ways than I'm thinking of, because to me the effects you get here for the hoop you have to jump through, and they're like generally like this card is quite bad if you pay full cost for it. So
Yes.
that's a full like black pip more than we would expect to pay in a standard legal set for this effect. So to see it in timeless at 4 is like ugh. But of
Yeah.
course you have the flexibility, but sacking a non-token black creature, what are we sacking here that we're excited about?
I mean, I don't think we're excited about sacking anything, but it does let us play it probably a turn earlier, or basically, like, the reason that this one and the green one usually seem more interesting is because Deathrite Shaman is like everywhere in Timeless.
Right. So you
And
have the one
so
drop.
that is already baked into your deck. And so you have the one drop that uh, is, a great card, but not always a huge player in certain matchups. Um, so you're able to use this in that way. That being said, I do agree with you that this costs an extra pip, which is just annoying because like Flare of Denial, that's cancel. That's just a regular cancel, right?
Right.
And you could just cast it as cancel, which isn't great, but if we had Flare of Malice in the standard legal set, it would cost 3, not 4. So,
It is a hint to me that maybe this card is better than I'm giving it credit for too. Like I think it's good, but maybe it's better than that because if I were designing this card, it would cost 1 black,
mhm,
and let's just say like there's a
maybe
reason
they
it costs
figured.
2 black.
Yeah, that does
So
make sense.
maybe that goes well in sacrifice decks as well too. I could see that where if you're legitimately a sacrifice deck, this card is awesome.
Oh yeah, if you want cards to go into graveyard for sure.
Right. But in just like a generic mid-range deck where you play good creatures, this is a hefty price to pay. Like I don't want to sack my Deathrite Shaman.
No, but it feels like an emergency. Some of these feel like emergency switches, which I kind of like free spells being.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
especially in this cycle does that too, where it's like I have to get off the board and or the game's over, or I have to stop this from happening, or this I need to resolve the spell, which is kind of why the green one seems like to me, because
Right.
it's like that one
It's
just
not
ramps
that.
you. It doesn't
Yeah.
stop anything from happening. All the other ones basically stop stuff.
Right.
Um,
Well, not the red one either, really, but
well,
it sort of
okay.
does, I guess.
All
Yeah.
right, so the red one is Flare of Duplication. It's one red red for an instant, and it has the rider. You can sacrifice a non-token green, or sorry, green. Why do I do that with red and green all the time? I don't know what's up with that. You may sacrifice a non-token red creature rather than pay its mana cost. And it says you can copy target instant or sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. And of course, this is an instant. Um, so either you were just using this to counter something, um, like if you put something on the
Fight a
stack,
counter war.
you're you're being able to fight a counter war, as long as your opponent had a counter on the stack, as well
Or you
as
copy whatever it was that you cast that they tried to counter, and
mhm,
then you just like
exactly.
circumvent that part of the stack.
Yeah, the more fun thing, I don't know if this is actually viable in Timeless, but if you play like Voldaren Epicure and then you play Shrapnel Blast, you can copy Shrapnel Blast. So Shrapnel Blast sacrifices the blood token, and this sacrifices the
10 damage.
Voldaren Epicure, and you deal 10 damage to them.
It's not even a kill. It's a
It's
three
not even a
card
kill.
10
Three
damage
card, 10
combo.
damage combo. But I mean, in Timeless, they're probably at 15 already, so they go to 5.
That's true. Yeah, they're dead. They're dead.
Totally dead, totally dead. It's not like they're like Shadows a deck or anything that people play. Um,
um, I was just thinking combo for this. But yeah, I guess you're right. You could just try to bring it in against counter magic,
Yeah.
ostensibly.
So there is that. And then the white one, Flare of Fortitude. Jeff, what does Flare of Fortitude do?
Hey, it's 2 white for an instant. You can sack a non-token white creature rather than pay its mana cost. And until end of turn, your life total can't change. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible.
Fuck yeah, buddy. Oh yeah, I love that.
Is this good?
It's definitely the card that I get excited about, and then it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
I wanted to say but this and this and this, but I have really nothing for this. Um, Most of the time, what's going to happen, I think, when you play this card is that your opponent will target to kill like your giver of runes or something. You play this in response, and they just don't attack you, and then like,
Right.
and that's it. So like,
It's kind of like it feels very foggy to me. Like
it's a bit foggy, yeah.
it's I guess it's like a fog slash snakeskin veil sort of split card. But not snakeskin veil. What's the one that
It's
just gives hexproof
heroic
and
heroic intervention.
heroic intervention? Yeah.
Mhm. Is a green card that gives all your creatures hexproof and indestructible. Um, and your life total can't change, which is like the fog thing. Um, I don't know. Do you do this? Do you like keep all your? Actually, I
Feels like
guess
there are
that
going to
doesn't
be a
really
lot
work.
of situations where this is functionally equivalent to fog.
Yeah, but no, but okay, so it says your life total can't change, but that also means that you can't use your fetch lands and your shock lands, right? Because you can't pay life.
Correct.
So then it just turns off your.
That's going to happen to some people out
It's
there.
going to happen a lot. All right, so don't let that happen to you. This doesn't mean that you don't lose the life from your fetch lands and your shock lands. It means you're not allowed to pay the cost of your shock lands and your fetch lands.
Right.
Um, I'm pretty positive, at least the shock lands for sure, because it's just hey, if you can pay this, you get to. Uh, this,
Yeah, I mean, fetch line's the same, right? It's tap
yeah,
and pay and a life
tap
as
and
an
pay.
activation. So
Yeah, it's not like you lose a life. So we will see, but this is the kind of card I get excited about. I kind of like the Teferi's Protection is like a commander card that was a lot of fun.
I could see it. I hope this opens up some white creature decks to, really
Mhm.
start, you know, I, I know some people might be a fan of Stoneforge Mystic decks and stuff. And this would help because it gives your permanents indestructible and hexproof as
Mhm.
well. Like so your equipment also
That's true.
can't be
All your.
shattered or whatever. So
That's good. That's good.
um,
I like that. I have been playing Stoneforge Mystic in
so it
Timeless,
could get there
and currently,
yeah, and I'm
actually,
making fun of it a bit, calling it fog, but fog's a crazy powerful card in certain situations. It just sucks. Like a lot of the rest of the time, that's what makes it a bad card. This
mhm.
has flexibility, so
And it's
sometimes you get the
free.
fog blowout.
I would
Yeah, I mean,
also say
fog was 1 mana, but
it's
in
true.
the fog head to head, the mana wasn't really what was holding fog back.
It's true. Um, but yeah, in the Stoneforge Mystic type of builds, currently we don't really have a lot of great targets for Stoneforge Mystic to actually use the ability to play things. So a deck I'm running currently doesn't have that many equipment targets in the actual deck. So
Mhm.
once it's on the
Are you
battlefield,
playing the GTA? Just out of curiosity.
yes, yeah,
Lost GTA.
hmm
Nice. I was
just
wondering if that
one.
was good enough for Timeless.
It's really nice when you want to like untap a land to like sword something, or you want to,
Ah,
or things
right.
like that. Um, Also, people still don't know how to play against GTA. They still like block in a dumb way where you're like, I have two counters on this. Or like they try to bolt it and you're like, okay, I put a counter on it. Your bolt
Right.
doesn't kill it.
Yeah. So you
So
get you
eh,
get all of that
I get those that I get
that
that
extra
free
value.
stuff just because people don't know how to play with against it yet. Um, but basically, what I was trying to say is that Stoneforge, once she's on the battlefield and has done the thing, she's just kind of like a 1-2. So like sacrificing her is not that big a deal.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair. This deck is or this card might be tailor made for Stoneforge.
So that's also why I'm kind of like, hmm.
Yeah.
So that's the first cycle of free spells. Jeff, it seems like we have another cycle of free spells we have to talk about that are coming to Timeless that we were not anticipating and I think are a hot topic.
Yeah, before we do that, I just wanted
Okay.
to close my thoughts on these
Okay.
cards.
You yes. As a
And basically reiterate something that you said earlier, which is that for the most part, these cards are preventative in nature. Like you
mhm.
use them to sort of stop something broken that your opponent's doing that you might otherwise not be able to interact with. And uh, I think that's a great move that Wizards has made because the issue with Force of Will in Legacy is that Force of Will is necessary to survive in the format because there are so many like turn one wins that you literally need to be able to interact for no mana in order to not die.
Mhm.
The problem is the turn one wins have Force of Will to protect it as well. And so it just becomes a strange like Force of Will off where it's like who has more Force of Wills and
Things to
and
pitch
the
for it.
solution Wizards has come up with is like we'll make it free if you're trying to use it defensively or like in earnest in some way, and we'll make it tough on you if you're trying to use it like
Mhm.
aggressively. And so this requires that you have a creature non-token out to
Yeah.
sacrifice. So it really feels like, ugh, last resort, kind of like, ah, I have to do this, but like otherwise you're going to attack me with Primeval Titan. So I have to cast Flare of Malice now,
Mhm.
and I'll sack my Deathrite Shaman to do it.
Yeah.
And so that's great gameplay. So I do like where they went with this. Not super convinced these are all going to be good.
Staples. Oh, for
Um,
sure.
I like some of them.
I mean, look at the Force of Will cycle. Like, it's
Yeah,
Force of
fair.
Will and then a bunch of other things that we don't really ever talk
It
about.
wouldn't be
So
Magic if all the cards in a cycle were of a relatively equal power level.
that's not fun. No, it's
Yeah, what
fun
is
when
that?
things are imbalanced a little bit,
You
you
need
know.
Healing Salve versus Ancestral Recall, you know?
Come on.
You
Obviously,
need to do
healing salve is banned everywhere.
it.
Preventing damage, you can't do that anymore. And it's
But
not
anyways,
because preventing damage is confusing as hell. But
yeah.
anyway,
Anyways, super excited to hear about the next set of free spells because I'm sure they fit into that philosophy of only good defensively
mhm.
and really pushing Wizards' narrative on how they expect free spells
Oh
to go.
yeah, absolutely. So we have a brand new set of free spells to Arena. So these are the the mistakes. Are these mistakes? Can we? I don't want to fully. They to me they feel like mistakes, but everyone else is able to judge their own thing. And Jeff, I know you have your opinion on this, which I'd love to hear, and I'm very excited for it. I think it's very constructive, and I'm it's going to be great. But I think in general, like you just said, this is not exactly the way we want to be making free spells, and so I'm a little I'm a little worried about seeing these come to Arena, but I'm still interested in the format that we're getting into. This isn't going to write me off of Timeless at all in any sense. If anything, I'm kind of excited to be able to also complain about them like other people have been for the last year,
Right?
because there's something inherent in Magic. You just want to be able to understand why other people are complaining about things, and you want to also be able to complain a little bit or say, hey, actually, no, it's not as bad as you say, whatever. With that huge preamble, we are getting the evoke elementals from Modern Horizons 2. They're from the second one, right? Yeah. Um, so that is solitude, subtlety, grief, fury, and endurance. Now,
Mhm.
fury is already banned in modern. They did say on like the debut video that they made the choice of putting these in the set before the ban happened. So obviously they didn't know about this.
Whoa, that's a long
And
time ago.
well, yeah. Um, and they also, just so everyone knows, these are special guest cards. So they don't show up nearly as frequently. If you remember drafting Outlaws of Thunder Junction, they're just harder to get drafting wise. So
Yeah,
it's I was just saying that because they're not in the actual main set, if that was
right.
confusing. They are special guests with awesome art, by the way. The art is amazing. Like, holy crap.
I would say for the most part, these actually do somewhat fit the description of these are like reactive spells, with one pretty huge exception, and that's grief. Grief is like extremely proactive for some reason, like it's Thoughtseize, whereas
Hmm.
the other ones are like, endurance, I think, is the best example. I think endurance is a really it's well designed. Endurance is fine and
Hmm.
something that you want in your format. It's like a really powerful targeted card. It's only good against certain decks. Um, but against those decks, it's really good. And I think that's fine. Maybe we should read these, I guess.
We
Endurance.
yeah. You go ahead. Read endurance. Yeah.
Endurance is one green green for a 3/4 flash reach. When it enters the battlefield, up to one target player puts all cards from their graveyard on the bottom of their library in a random order. And they have Evoke, which Evoke means that you can cast it for its Evoke cost. If you do, you have to sacrifice the creature immediately. So it basically like is an old school mechanic that is like creatures as spells kind of thing. And the Evoke cost is exile a green card from your hand. So all of these cost exile a card of their color from your hand to evoke them, in which case the creature doesn't stick around, but you still get the ETB, is
Hmm.
basically how these are designed. So endurance just is kind of graveyard hate attached to a 3/4 flash reach, which is really pushed, but it's not something that is going to just dominate timeless on
No.
its own in people's main decks, right? This is going to go in sideboards to enable green decks to fight against graveyard decks.
Hmm.
And that's great. Fury is 3 red for a 3/3 double strike. When it ETBs, you split 4 damage divided as you choose. This is the other one that's a little like, all right, maybe this isn't super.
This is the
Is
banned one. This is the one that's unacceptable.
this, I mean, it's the other one that I would say is not like a get out of jail free kind of like
Oh,
reactive,
no.
right?
For yeah,
It's,
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry. Yes, this is the one that I'm the most worried about. I know
Mhm.
grief is going to be huge, and and I also love playing decks that just fold to Thoughtseize. So them having extra copies of Thoughtseize is awful. But Fury, I like playing creature decks, and Fury being able to kill like a bunch of things with one card. It's like 2 damage to your Death Red Shaman, 1 damage to this, 1 damage to that. Like
Right.
it's
The Yeah, the thing is, like, I wonder how much of this. I guess Orcish Bowmasters is kind of already forcing out one toughness creatures.
mhm,
So then this is even going to move that.
that
It
bar
could
up to
push that
like
even further.
to
Like,
two, because then you don't want two toughness creatures because Fury kills both of them. So you need
right.
like a 3 toughness
You need a
creature and a
three, and you're not
two
playing ones.
toughness
So
creature.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Or you have to play stuff like Stoneforge Mystic, where
you're okay if
you've
it
already
dies.
gotten your value.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. It definitely warps the metagame, which is why this card was banned, even though I actually think the other one, like Grief, is a little more powerful per se. This one is a little more format defining. It tells you what you can and can't play
Mhm.
um, a little more. I'll save Grief for last. Subtlety is 3/3 for a 2 blue flash flying. When it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature spell or planeswalker spell, and its owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. So this is very like Mystic Snakey
Mhm.
meets Ether Gust kind of thing. Um, it's good. It's not.
Yeah, it has
It's
like a
not
memory lapse kind of feel, you know,
right.
like
Yeah.
um but yes, I definitely agree that the white one, the blue one, and the green one all have flash, which is kind of interesting. Um
Yeah. The black one and the red one should have flash. You're right.
yeah, flash Thoughtseize, that's what we need. Um
And the white one is a 3/2 flash lifelink, and when it enters the battlefield, you exile a creature. That creature's controller gains life equal to its power. So it's sort of
it's
sort of
Swords of
plowshares.
Plowshares, yeah.
So subtlety is uh, targeted. It's a counter. It's a really strong kind of tempo-y counter spell against creature decks. So that asks a lot of you.
Hmm.
You have to care about the tempo, right? The 3/3 flyer, and they're going to get that card next turn if they want it. So that time you bought has to matter to you. Um, but in that deck, and against a deck that's playing permanents like or creatures and planeswalkers, obviously it's amazing.
Yeah.
Solitude again, similar thing like a 3/2 flash lifelink that exiles something is very, very good against creature decks in decks that like want to commit to the board and care about
Hmm.
this. Like this has to be better than Swords to Plowshares to
Yeah.
want to
Swords of
play it.
Plowshares costs one. You
Yeah.
don't lose a creature
Or like a card from your hand.
or a card from your hand. Sorry. I'm thinking about the other ones. Um, so it's just I don't know. I'm very prepared for Grief and Fury to be the ones that we play against. And Grief, we didn't really read it, but we talked about it a lot. It's two black for a 3/2 with Menace. And when it enters the battlefield, you look at opponent's hand. You can choose an online card. You make them discard it. You can exile a black card from your hand to evoke it. Um, the biggest thing that everyone's talking about, and I'm sure that you as a listener know this as well. There's a deck in Modern called Rakdos Scam, and
Yeah.
what when they say scam, they're talking about they're cheating the system. So what they're doing is they're taking before they would take Grief and Fury, and they play all those dorky black cards that just say, um, the next time a creature would die, it comes back to the battlefield tapped, or you, well, all those. There's a million of the different ones. I don't know what the specific one that they're using for Grief,
They
but
get some of them get +2/+0. Sometimes they
yeah.
get Death Touch or
But
whatever.
as
Like
long as they
the
have
Death
like
Touch one is particularly stupid to
yeah,
me.
but yeah, with Fury for sure. Giving Fury Death Touch is like disgusting. But the biggest thing is that as long as they cost one black mana, you evoke it from your hand, scam it, so when you have to sacrifice it, it just comes back, and you just have you have Grief on turn two. You just like got to Thoughtseize them twice, and you actually have a 3/2 menace, and it's just like okay, cool, fun
Yeah,
game.
so you feel like you got scammed out of the game when that happens. But
Hmm. Um, and that's a
it's a pretty good turn one play.
it's pretty good. Oh right,
Yeah.
turn one because you don't have to spend any mana on the Grief.
Yeah, it's
Gosh.
usually turn one. Yeah. So that's a thing that will happen now in times for sure.
Yes, for
That's
sure. That's the new thing that's gonna like the week one. That's the deck you're gonna be playing against.
yeah.
Um, with that being said, I am wondering how Solitude, Subtlety, and Endurance will be able to probably not Endurance. Actually, honestly, the green ones altogether,
Green ones
they're
are always a little eyebrow raising.
less exciting. Less exciting.
I like the green one the best design wise out of all five of
Sure.
these cards.
Of these
That's not
cards.
true with the other cycle. The other one, the green one, is like the card I'm least interested in playing and the card that I like the design of the least as well.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I don't understand this. But
My big question is can we play both of these free spells together? Like, can I grief out, evoke my grief onto the battlefield in response to it sacking, sacrifice it to the Flare of Malice? Is that anything at all? Is it just, it's free spells? Can you just play free spells deck where you have like multicolored creatures that you can evoke away and then you're able to use these cards to do that type of stuff. Obviously, you can't win with just all the things. That's definitely a streamer thing where you're just like all the free spells. Let's
yeah,
just see if we can win. That's definitely not good. But I don't know. Like,
that's the one I see as most likely sacking grief in
mhm.
response to make you exile your best creature.
Yeah. So it's like not only do I thought seize you, but I also get to exile your best thing. It is card disadvantage because you had to get rid of a card from your hand still. But I don't know. There's probably something there. Could be okay.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot of very specific pieces on a very specific turn. Um,
I mean,
but
you can still do the scam thing, right? You could,
you
so
could.
you could grief target it with the next time it dies thing, and then sack it to your free exile your stuff spell.
Yeah. And so then that's just an extra card on that turn one that lets you. Well, I guess turn one, you don't want to use Flare of
Gets rid of
Malice.
the Deathrite Shaman if
Yeah.
they happen to play it.
Yeah, it's not very good. Um,
It's probably
so
just making the scam deck less consistent for
probably,
no
probably.
great reason.
All right. Well, I just wanted
I
to have
do
that
like where your
quick.
head's at.
I wanted to have the quick conversation, but I do think it's interesting that those do work together, right? And I haven't really seen people talk about that. That like you could do those types of things. I don't know if it's very powerful, but like you still can do it. Um, but yeah, we are coming into the age of free spells. Whenever this comes out, June something, that'll be that'll be it. Arena has free spells. It's gonna be the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my take on this is like 100% a new deck in Timeless is now going to be Rakdos Scam. For sure.
Hmm.
There's just like, it's clearly going to be strong, and it's like there's a well-defined, it has a pedigree. There's a well-defined list you can go look at for inspiration, even if you don't have 100% of the cards, you have most of them. So that's going to be a deck you're going to play against. And there will, like, the whole thing of that deck is that it's a good deck, and sometimes it just beats you on turn one in a
Hmm.
very annoying way. That's
And
true.
yeah.
That's gonna happen. There are decks that already can do that in Timeless. You know, that you can get Necropotence on turn one, and it's like it's a different way of losing on turn one.
Hmm.
But
Yeah. They could
this
do
one is
the Vein Ripper thing.
particularly
Yeah.
irritating. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they could Vein Ripper you on turn one, kind of thing. This one just feels a little worse. So I want people to first like isolate the how it feels to lose to this versus like what's the difference. Um,
That's true.
but this one is also going to be a little more consistent. This one
Hmm.
is going to get you more often than some of the stuff we're seeing.
Yeah.
In
So
terms of like it can play a long game.
does this mean we should just be playing Rakdos Scam until we shouldn't?
I'll probably play it. One thing I wanted to say is that tournament we went to, the sealed event, when you
Hmm.
were drafting, I couldn't really see what was going on, so I wandered over to the modern event that was happening adjacent, and they were in the finals, and it was a Rakdos scam mirror. So I was just like, oh boy, Rakdos is dominating this tournament. But there was a lot of like weird stuff happening in the scam mirror. It actually the scam mirror actually looked pretty interesting because there was a lot of like stealing your opponent's stuff with Ragavans, and then like you stomp with their Bone Crusher Giant, and you're like, wait, before I do this, I need to know that like is he gonna get the is the creature in his adventure zone or is it in my adventure zone? And there's a lot of like stuff like that going on.
That's
I
what. Do we know the answer to that? If you
I
steal your
did learn the answer. If I
okay.
steal your stomp, I also get your Bone Crusher Giant.
What the
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
So then the player was like, "Oh yeah, well then I stomp your thing." Obviously, like I cast it. Like yeah. He was
Ugh.
thinking for so long and then decided to ask the judge the question just to double check that his like opponent would definitely get the Bone Crusher, so he shouldn't cast it. The guy's like, "No, you get the bone." He's like, "Whoa, okay, stomp your thing." Like play Bone Crusher. It's
That's
like should have
disgusting.
if you'd asked the judge right away, you could have saved yourself a lot of thought there.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, hey, the more you think in a tournament like that, the more you have the possibility of just drawing. So don't
Yeah.
let that happen.
But
Uh,
just to finish my thought on this,
yeah.
let's not give up on the format because a new good deck that we think we don't like is going to enter the fray. There's going to be so many other powerful cards in this set entering the fray, many of which we have never seen before, so we don't know how they interact with Rakdos Scam. We don't know how they interact with the decks that already exist in Timeless. We don't know how they interact with the decks that already exist in Modern. That I think it's just a little too early to be sounding the alarm bells and saying these free spells are going to ruin the format. when really three of them are actually probably reasonable additions.
Yeah, it's just
And
two of them that we're worried about.
two of them have a pedigree of being an issue, but that was in a format that didn't have all these other cards that were designed in this set, knowing that these cards existed and were good. Like Fury may not have been banned when they were designing this set, but they knew it was good. They
Mhm.
knew that they knew about Rakdos scam. So let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they have given us other ways to fight this, that they have built in new archetypes that can compete with it, things that are a little more resilient to being thought seized, or things that, um, like I was kind of surprised, to be honest, that the white free spell doesn't give me hexproof, because I totally thought that's where it was going
Oh,
to as a way to fight this grief
burn.
nonsense. Um, but like stuff like that, right? And so
Oh, sorry, you mean grief. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. So you can't get thought seized. That would be nice.
yeah, it protects you from fury, but
Hmm.
it doesn't protect you from grief. I
From
thought it was going to
grief.
be like do both. Um, but there's so much cool stuff in here. Like I think that having your takeaway be that like, oh no, the pitch elementals are in the format, it's ruined, is it's kind of surprising to me, and I would wait and see.
Yeah. And I would say, I understand how you can feel that way and be worried about this thing that has been talked about a lot. And it seems like this kind of crazy thing that is going to shake up. Like you feel like you've been playing Arena and you've been safe from this disaster. I felt that way for sure,
Yeah,
where there's been a lot of modern talk. And, when modern and legacy have conversations, I usually don't have to be a part of it. And so
I
whenever
felt that
they're,
way in Explorer for a while.
yeah.
Safe from the Pioneer bullshit.
But so there is that feeling of like I'm worried about this thing and maybe my favorite format's going to get ruined and I don't know what to do.
Oh yeah, totally.
But like Jeff's saying, I think we should really wait it out and see because we don't really know. Like our meta is definitely different than moderns in timeless, and we'll have to find out. Things will get restricted as they do, and I think the pitch elementals being restricted would be really interesting. Having getting got every once in a while sounds great. You know, that seems like a really interesting thing. Um, it being super consistent seems a lot less interesting. So every once in a while, I'll be like, was there one whatever? If Force
Right.
of Will was in the format, it's like, they got me with the Force of Will, but they only have one, so of course they had it that one time. That's a lot more interesting than it happening constantly. Um, but I would like to move on from free
Yes.
spells. Oh, Jeff, we have, you know, man, I'm plowing through this beer and we got lots of stuff to talk about. So,
I know.
holy crap. Um, I have, as we were talking about something overarching, I have something else that's kind of overarching that I don't really need to pinpoint any specifics, but I just want
Mhm.
to say something that's coming into play is we are getting new modal double-faced cards. Again,
Woohoo.
MDFCs. But OG MDFCs that have lands on the back.
Yes, I love
Uh,
to see this.
this is just fantastic. Great job,
Yeah.
Wizards. Amazing. Um, I don't think we have the full cycles out yet. Um, Currently, it looks like I can count up that we have 16, which is a weird number. Um, it's it's six monocolored like ones, which we're used to, right? So we have like white, blue, black, red, green, except for there's two green ones that we have currently. So I think that we might end up getting two of each color.
Okay, so there'd be 20 total.
Yeah, because the other ones we're getting that's more exciting are multicolored. This is the most exciting part. So we are getting a whole 10 MDFCs that are a like hybrid card on one side, and then on the back side, it's a dual land that enters the battlefield tapped. This is so exciting. Like, I don't know if these are going to be like really cracking it into timeless, but there is one in particular that I think is just awesome.
Lay it on me.
And so, okay, is it really awesome or is it just a Zach card? I think it might just be a Zach card, but I also that's really awesome. But it's I don't even know how to say this card necessarily.
Waterlogged teachings.
All right, well that is one of the cards that I was really excited about, but I thought that you might want to talk about it. So this is the more Zach card that we're talking about. Revitalizing repest. I'm not sure.
I would say repassed, but now that you've
Repast.
called it out, yeah, I'm not sure that I've ever
What do you
actually heard that as a word before.
repest? It looks like revitalizing
Riposte.
rapist. Sure.
No,
Uh,
that's not it. No.
but this is the Golgari one, which is normally not a Zach thing, but
Yeah.
you can either pay green or black, and it's an instant, and it says put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It gains indestructible until end of turn. So it's almost Snakeskin Veil. Um, it doesn't give hexproof, but it gives indestructible. But on the back, it's a land. So like, but the thing is, this only costs one. It costs
Yeah.
one. That most of the time we get protection spells. Like we had one in Zendikar Rising that was 2 mana for a white one that gives protection to something or whatever. And 2 mana is twice as much as 1 mana. 1 mana is so huge. Um, the fact
I
is,
really wish this card was put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. If it would die this turn, instead return it to the battlefield tap. And it's red black
it's
instead.
red flag.
Yeah.
It,
It's a land version of the scam
the
spells.
Yeah, but the idea that you would put a +1/+1 counter on
Yeah.
something you think is gonna die,
Yeah, it's just great design.
it should be the opposite. If this would die, return to the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it.
No,
That's what you would.
I like the original because then it's like hedging your bets, you know? Like
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna win this combat, but
Oh, that's
if
true.
you have a pump spell as
Hmm.
well, then
That's true. That's true.
but
But
mostly just because it would piss people off to give a scam card that's also a land.
it would be pretty funny. But yeah, just like a protection spell, it's also a land. I'm super down for this. I will be playing it probably in green white if I can. Ultimately, I'm just like, damn, why can't I play this in Pioneer? I keep looking at stuff and being like, oh, I could play this. No, I can't play this in Pioneer. Fuck, damn it. Um,
If only.
so that's been the my.
This card would be fine in Pioneer.
It would be fine, which is why it continues to look like a card I can play. Um, but Jeff, can you show us the wonders of waterlogged teachings?
Yes, so this is the one that spoke to me where I was just like, really? All
Mhm.
right, let's do it. So this is 3 and a Demir. So that's blue and a black.
Or black?
Instant blue or black. Yes, that's right. Instant, search your library for an instant card or a card with flash, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle. Other side is a land. Are you kidding me? This is a split card, land slash instant speed tutor.
Goes right into rogues? Are you kidding?
Love it. Love it. You better believe I'm playing this in Timeless Rogues.
Oh yeah. How many are you playing?
Because one of
That's
the issues with Rogues is the whole reason to play it is that you have the best spell in the game, Drown in the Lock. If you don't draw it, your deck is a
pretty
lot
mediocre.
worse than when
Yeah.
you do draw it. So I just think the tutor slash land split is like, what? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And an instant speed tutor at that.
Instant speed tutor slash land split for an instant or
Yeah.
a creature. If you need a creature, bing bang boom. How much fun is it going to be if you're like late in the game, have 6 mana, you attack your opponent, they think that they're not dead, you instant speed tutor up a lord, play it, kill them?
Yes. Go get my soaring thought thief, baby.
They're like, I'm going to be alive at 3. And like, no, actually, you're dead.
Yeah,
Uh,
actually, no.
that's. Oh. Ooh, that
I'm
sounds
also just like loving the idea of going to get Flare of Malice with this and then casting Flare of Malice immediately.
Oh, baby, that
Mhm.
sounds nice. You could also do that with
Or
the
Flare of Denial.
Flare of
Flare of Denial,
Denial.
that's true. You get
Yeah,
that free counter spell.
yeah. Because what else are you gonna supposed to do with what is
Or I
it?
guess Solitude.
Yeah,
No,
you
wait. Which
solitude,
one's the blue one?
subtlety.
Subtlety. You
I
could go
would-
get you could get Solitude, but
I
I
was
was
like,
thinking Subtlety.
do you want to get solitude? Okay. Do we are we adding white to our deck now? No, 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 for sure. Waterlog teachings. Okay, sorry. You have a what's going on?
This is a land that
Hmm.
you can pitch to grief.
Yes, it is absolutely a land you can pitch to grief. So, how many do we run? Like two, probably.
Yeah, not I wouldn't say more than that.
More
My
than
instinct
two.
is one,
My
but
instinct is also one.
yeah.
But two is probably the high end. But hey, more lands in your deck, the better. Honestly, the
I
more cards that
love
can
I
beat lands.
love MDFC lands. I I was a big supporter of these back when they were in standard. My decks always had so fucking many of them.
Yeah.
Um, these are great.
They really are like the best thing Magic has done in a while. Saffron Olive had mentioned that on Twitter earlier today, and I was just thinking about that again. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
you're fucking right. This is
correct. I think I
yeah.
thought that at the time. I've forgotten since it's
Yes.
been so long since I've had to play with them.
So
But
Seth, thank you for reminding me. Amazing. They play so well, and I don't know. Obviously, if every card was like this, it wouldn't be fun. But the fact that we have
right.
some of them are like this, and they're good at picking and choosing, and
There are games where that's the mechanic, where you like
mhm.
exile a card from your hand essentially to generate a land, is
Yeah,
essentially how their mana system works.
and they aren't. Um,
As good as Magic.
they're not as good as Magic. They're not as good. Um, all right, Jeff. I know I've been steering the ship here, but I'm going to keep steering it if you're okay with that.
Yeah, this has been a wild ride.
Fantastic. All right, so this next card is not on the show notes, but I know you know what it is. Um, it's just one individual card. It's part of a greater cycle that's not part of this set, but this card happens to be an Elder Giant, and we're adding to an old cycle from Theros Beyond Death. We
Oh dear
have
God.
the Boros Elder Giant, Flage, Titan of Fire's Fury.
Yeah. Um, Love this. So fans of Kroxa out there, come join me as we read this card. Fans of Uro, get out of here.
Yeah, fuck you.
Um, but Blade Titan of Fire's Fury is the Boros version of that cycle. It is one red white. It's a 6/6, like they all are. It
Hmm.
has escape red, white, white, exile five of the cards from your graveyard, just like the other ones. It has when it enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it escaped, just like the other ones. And the astute among you, I'm sure you can guess what the ETB is on this one. It's Lightning Helix. It enters the battlefield or attacks, deals 3 damage to any target. You gain 2 life.
What? Or attacks? That's
I'm
exciting.
interested.
I'm
Yeah, it's
very
Crooksor
interested.
Uro. The red white version had to Lightning Helix. It had to be. And this is great. Once I started reading this card, I'm like, it better be Lightning Helix. It better be Lightning Helixing things, or I'm out. I'm out. I'm not even gonna buy this set if it doesn't Lightning Helix stuff.
This card seems sweet.
Yes.
It's so funny because, like, I am a really big fan of Wizards making, like, partial cycles of stuff.
Hmm.
Or um, like having things unfinished for a long time. I know there's a lot
Yeah.
of people out there, banging against the wall, being like, "Where's the rest of this cycle? I want the rest of these cards." I'm like, "No, no, no. You gotta slow roll it." I love getting one, and then you spend like 2 years playing with the one card, and then the next one comes out. Like I like that.
Okay. Quick question. Are we
Okay.
talking like I give you the allied color ones now, and it takes me a while to do the enemy color. Is that like sufficient for what you're talking about, or is that kind of giving me a full cycle and then
I mean, I do like that, but I like what I really enjoy is like some of the future side stuff. So I really liked Horizon. Like, to be fair, I never really played with Horizon Canopy, but I really liked the idea that Horizon Canopy came out, and there was a really long period of time where like it was the only land that did that, and you only got that effect if you were playing those colors.
yeah.
Then they came out with a cycle of them that didn't complete it fully, but added it to a couple other color combinations. That type of thing, you know.
Yeah. I
Wi-
super agree. I kind of feel like allied color, or let's do five of these, is
mhm.
kind of a full cycle to me. And I know eventually you complete the cycle with the
Yeah,
enemies
yeah.
or whatever. But I really appreciate when there's two of them, one
Mhm.
or two of them, or even three sometimes.
Three
And
is nice.
I, I especially like it if it's like dual colored ones and like one or two of them are allied and then the third one is enemy. And you're like, what? What's
What?
going on with this cycle?
Yeah. Which is like
Yeah.
this right here. So we have like Boros enemy colors, we have Simic enemy colors, and then Rakdos ally colors. You're like, what?
Right. And originally it was like one ally, one enemy, like makes sense. And now
hmm
there's a third one. You're like, what's going on? Are they gonna
Yeah.
do all of these? Is this it? Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? But super awesome. These play so well, like
Yeah.
Fuckero, but these play really well.
Uro's
Um,
like a Uro's just a little too tweaked. The numbers are just a little too push. It's very similar to Oko Thief of Crowns, where it's just like, why are these all pluses? This makes
mhm.
the numbers are just wrong. Uro should like it could gain two life, or it doesn't have to. Anyways, whatever. It's just a little too pushed.
I like the threes feel nice because like
I
this
know.
is threes, that's threes, but Croaks cost two, Uro should cost four. That's it.
Right. That would be the way to do it.
Yeah,
Just yeah, make it cost more upfront, or like I don't know. It could just gain three life and draw a card. It doesn't have to put a land into play as well.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. It does have too many abilities. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, it's just a little too much.
Yeah. Honestly, it should just. It could also just not even gain three life. It could
Like
either. It
gain
could
three
do.
life and draw a card would be the counterpart of Croxa, which is
Yeah,
like
that's
you
true. Which
lose three life, maybe if you and
mhm.
discard a card.
Yeah, that's if you discard a card that's land.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think I wonder if I'd prefer Croxa, not Croxa, sorry, Uro. If Uro was like gain three life, put a land from your hand on the battlefield, no draw card.
You know, it should be if it was to be the opposite of Croxa. It should say reveal a top card of your library and put it into your hand. If it's a land, you gain three life.
Ah, yeah, that would
Because
make sense.
Croxa's like, you discard a
Hey,
land, you take three.
take three.
Yeah.
You know, that is a much better design. And then we wouldn't have to have
And
banned it
it's
from
not as
Wizardship.
busted.
Not as busted.
Yeah.
Hey, should we work for Wizards? Are we
I
magic
feel
designers?
like, yeah, I
I
mean,
think, yeah, yeah.
this is our interview. They're listening.
Yeah, that's literally the only thing you have to do. Like, there isn't anything that's more difficult
No,
than that. No,
for
you
sure.
just tweak cards. Just
Yeah,
do
yeah.
this.
You just look with hindsight on cards that could have been designed better and tell them why it sucks. That's what I'm learning
Exactly.
from like the Magic community. That's all it
Totally.
takes to be a great designer.
Obviously. Gosh, so simple, so easy, so fresh and so clean.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
Jeff, we have many more words to go through.
So
Um,
many.
I have another cycle I'm interested in talking about. If we want to keep going on cycles, if
Yes.
you're if
Just
you're good.
a quick interjection because of the
Yes.
10% beer. I want to say something before I
Okay.
forget. As I think
Yes.
of it, you just
Perfect.
talked about how many words there are in this set. It's another reason I appreciate why the MDFCs are the land ones,
hmm
where the other side is a land. It's like if you want to do MDFCs, that's what you have to do in this set because there's just too many words already. So
It's true.
if there's 20 cards that have two full sides, it's just there's
What
no
is this?
reason to do that. The
What is
complexity is
this?
already too high.
Yeah. Strixhaven? Get out of here.
So they're all simple cards and lands on the backside, and I like it, with the exception of like the red black one has a lot of text on it. But
Yeah, I don't remember what that one does. But I will say, and you actually, Jeff, you reminded me. So the dual colored MDFCs enter the battlefield tapped. All of the monocolored ones are uncommons, and they have the text, you can pay 3 life to have this enter untapped, which was
Right.
the mythic ability the last time we saw this. So I just want to give a huge blanket statement. Obviously, these cards are not nearly as powerful as the mythic ones, but that ability on the back, very powerful. It makes it like possible for them to be in the game. And the fact that they're all uncommons, which means they're super cheap on Arena. Hey, why is no one talking about how great this is? That's an awesome thing.
Yeah.
Like
More
these are
bolt lands.
basically free bolt lands. You can test them out, you can play them. You don't have to invest into these lands. They're definitely worth trying out. Great
Now they're
job.
not fetchable, which is a real bummer. But
That's where, I mean, the other ones weren't fetchable.
no, I'm just saying, like
Oh, in
MTFCs in
general.
general,
Oh,
like
for sure, for sure. I just mean like you don't have to play this like slower card as well as a slow land because it's an uncommon version of the land. You still get the rare ability of having it untapped,
for sure.
um, which I think is a great job. All right, Jeff.
Good stuff.
We just talked about there are cards that are double faced, don't have very much text on the back, blah blah blah
I
blah.
know. I knew where you were going with this, so it's like
Let's
I know what I need to interject
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Let's talk about cards that are double faced that have multiple colors on them, or sorry, multiple words on the back.
Yeah.
Wow, that 9.2 is really getting me good.
Not
Um,
just multiple words, it's like the most complicated card type as well.
yes. We have already talked about the white one because it's been out for a while. But of course, we are discussing the new flip Planeswalker cards. We have not seen a cycle like this since I got back into Magic. This is crazy. This flips like Planeswalker cycle. If you don't know what I'm talking about, in Magic Origins, we had a cycle of Planeswalkers. They're all in the Gatewatch, and it was like younger versions of them, and they would something would happen, and then they would flip over into a Planeswalker version of themselves, which is where they had their spark. And that whole set was about how they got their sparks and who they are and all this stuff. And that set is what kind of got me back into Magic. It was right after Cons of Tarkir, and I've basically been playing consistently ever since then. So it's weird for me to see these again. It's like, oh, well, what am I in college again? And I'm buying a booster
Yeah.
box for the first time. What's
Oh man,
happening?
I loved the Magic Origins.
Oh, so cool. Um, yeah, let's just dive on in. We talked about a Johnny in a previous episode, so I don't want to spend too much time on a Johnny.
Yeah.
But just a quick overview as we're talking about it, because I know we're gonna jump through them kind of quickly. Um, we have a Johnny, Tamio is the blue one, Sorin is the black one, Ral Zarek is the red one, and then Grist is the green one.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna save that one for last, Jeff, because I know that's the one you want to talk about the most. Um, so let's talk about Tamio first, just because that's the first one we have. I will talk about Tamio. I'll read her just because I know you want to talk about the other ones. I'll take in a bullet. I'm taking a bullet for you,
Yeah,
Jeff.
yeah.
Just know I'm a good friend. So we have
I really appreciate that.
yeah. Tamio, Inquisitive Student is a single blue. This is a 1 drop for a legendary creature, Moonfolk Wizard, 0/3 with flying. And whenever she attacks, you investigate. Hmm. Okay. I
I
do.
already love a 0/3 that incentivizes you for attacking.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. I love attacking with a 0/3. And then at the bottom, we have something that says when you draw your third card in a turn, exile Tamio, then return her to the battlefield transformed under your control. She transforms into Tamio Seasoned Scholar, which is a green blue planeswalker. It has 2 loyalty. You can +2 until your next turn. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, it gets -1, -0 until end of turn. You can -3 return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. If it's green, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. And you can -7 the ultimate, draw cards equal to half the number of cards in your library rounded up. You get an emblem with you have no maximum hand size. Uh, Ultimately, I don't know how excited I am for this because the planeswalker side of this card, like you have to plus, like you don't have the
You
choice
don't,
to.
yeah, immediately get to minus.
Yeah, which usually with planeswalkers you get to plus or minus when you play them. This one
Unless you
just
have doubling season.
sure. Yeah, unless you have doubling season, uh then
Trying to reach
then
out to our Commander fans there because
yeah,
I don't
you're
know if
right,
that's
you're right.
banned or not.
No, it's doubling season's not banned, but yes, you're right. If you have doubling season, then you would be able to minus. Um, the biggest thing with doubling season and those, just for commander people, if people are talking about you about planeswalkers, when they use doubling season, they want to make it that you can like play your planeswalker and ultimate immediately. That's the point of doubling
Not
season.
use their minus ability,
No,
their
they're
medium minus ability.
yeah,
Fair enough.
that's not for your flip planeswalker that you have to make sure you like brainstorm before you actually flip it.
The
But that's the
+2
first.
is powerful though.
It
Like if you've
is.
ever played against Jace Architect of Thought, like this is a very annoying ability.
It definitely is. It's also the one that says just like creatures. It's so in recent Magic, if you've been playing, you know that there are a lot of like planeswalkers that just kind of say like target creature gets -3, -0, or whatever. This is not that. This is just if something attacks you, it fucking
Yeah,
sucks
like
now.
so you can't go wide around this.
No.
Like
Or if you do, it just has to be like big creatures. Like they
right.
just can't be 1/1
This
tokens.
incentivizes you to be attacking with big creatures, and
Hmm.
Tamiyo is fairly cheap, so presumably you can flip it relatively early, and then this is
Hmm.
very impactful. +2. I agree with you. Like I really like this card a lot. I like it a lot. I don't think I ever want to play it, but I
Yeah,
like the design a lot.
I like the design a lot.
The thing that I think is kind of funny too is, Wizards has this sort of like the thing they're pushing recently, which is um, don't use more words than necessary. Let's get rid of like add
Hmm.
green to your mana pool. It's just add green or whatever. And
Hmm.
they've been doing a great job of that. But then you look at something like the -7, and it's like it's a really long-winded way to say draw half your library.
Yeah,
Like,
you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game or
but it's
whatever.
like draw cards equal to half of the number of cards that are in your library. It's like just draw half your library. What are you talking about? But they have to like that could be implied like in the current rules. It's not clear that you're drawing a number of cards from the top of your deck. Like draw half your library could mean like go get half your library or something, I guess.
Yeah, or just like draw half of it so you pick it up and like cut it in half and take the bottom or whatever.
Right. So they felt like they needed to spell this out, but I'm just like it takes a second to process what this does, and then you're like, oh, it draws half your library.
Yeah, which is those funny things. The one thing I wanted to say is that this set in general has a draw 3 card theme. As far as
Mm.
like the blue cards go, there's some black cards that care about it and some other things. A lot of commons
Because
and
the draw two
uncommons.
cards theme was too busted, so they had to nerf it.
Or it's like when you draw your third card for a turn or whatever.
Oh,
Um,
I can't wait to fairy mastermind these folks right out of the game.
yeah. What I just want to say is like, hey, that's just brainstorm. You know, this is like turn 1, this turn 2, brainstorm, boom, flipped planeswalker,
Yep.
zam, and you get clue token because you attacked with it. So
Problem is, you're like, turn one this, then brainstorm. Your opponent's like, Bowmaster, kill it.
that's
Would,
true.
would that work though? Hold on.
Yes, yeah. when you draw
Well,
your
how would the
third card
triggers go
in it,
on the stack?
you'd exile. Oh, the trigger for this would go on the stack, but you wouldn't be able to kill it. So like, you cast Brainstorm, they
Yeah.
bow they bowmaster in response. Ping Tamio for one. You draw the three cards and resolve Brainstorm. Tamio's trigger goes on the stack. Oh wait, no,
But the
because
Bowmaster go
would
on
be
top.
under
No,
that
it
they go
depends what
underneath.
turn it is. It depends whose turn it is.
That's true. That's
Because,
true.
anyways,
It is really complicated, actually, but that is actually super important. We should figure that out, because that's
active
exactly
players' triggers go on the stack first. So
first.
don't do it during your turn because they could Bowmaster and then their triggers will resolve first, killing your Tameo
Yeah.
before the
So
Tameo.
right. So you need to brainstorm on
That's
their
first.
turn.
Yeah.
Okay. That's very
Which
actually
means you can't activate the Planeswalker
that's true. And they could just kill the planeswalker with
with the
Bowmaster
Bowmaster.
trigger.
Well, no, they have to put it on the stack. So
No, but it just goes on the stack and they choose
they have
targets?
to target to put it on the stack.
Right,
So
right, right.
it just goes at your face, I
I
guess.
guess. Okay, that's better.
And then the giant token kills your Planeswalker.
Yeah. Yeah, because Bowmaster deals nothing. The token will deal three.
Yeah.
Because it's a 4/4 or whatever.
But
Oh,
you do get a turn, so it'll get -1. Anyways, whatever. It's a complicated back and forth here, but yeah,
yeah.
it feels like Bowmaster kind of wins.
Yeah. So in the end, don't play this card. All right. Jeff, let's go to the
Weak to
next.
Bowmaster, cut
Yeah.
from
Cut it. Cut
Timeless.
it. Really good with Brainstorm, weak to Bowmaster. Um, Jeff, let's go into the next one. I know you want to talk about this one. So I
I
kind
love
of,
this card.
yeah, I thought I'd just like
All
lob it
right, we
up for
got
you.
Sorin. Sorin of House Markov, 1 and a black, legendary creature, human noble, 1/4 with lifelink.
Mm,
So human noble, interesting. This is pre-vampire Sorin. Uh, lifelink and extort. A great mechanic. For those that
mm.
haven't played with extort, whenever you cast a spell, you can pay an additional white or black, and it drains the opponent for 1 if you do. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, if you gain 3 or more life, it does the transform thing.
Hmm.
Other side is Sorin Ravenous Neonate, which also has extort. I love that.
Yeah.
It has 3 loyalty. +2 is create a food token. Uh, -1 is it deals damage equal to the amount of life you gained this turn to any target. And -6 is gain control of target creature, becomes a vampire in addition to its other types. Put a lifelink counter on it if you control a white permanent. Other than that creature or Sorin, that last part's a little strange, but okay, it steals something. I love
Yeah.
this. This is great. I don't
This
know
is
if
great.
it's good enough, but I like this card a lot, and I love the like became a vampire slash planeswalker origin story being told here. Um, Still extorting people, like he's keeping that sort of nobility. Uh,
Yeah, so this is so interesting because like I guess I don't know the story behind Sorin, but I was thinking that all the Markovs were vampires, but this is showing us that that's not true, that like he must have been a noble first and then was turned into a vampire or asked to be turned into a vampire, it seems, because he does not seem to be very excited about his family's dinner
yeah,
and then has kind of recruited more people to be Markovs, right? Because
I
does he turn
vaguely
everybody else into vampires? I don't
I
actually know what
vaguely
happens.
remember something of his grandfather as the one that turned him into a vampire. So it's like the Markov house is like humans, and they turn the best ones into vampires or something.
Okay, all right. So you just have to be the best.
You have to pass the trials or whatever. You have to
But does
be.
everyone else know that you're vampires? There's a lot of food at
That
this
part I have no
table.
idea.
Because it
I
seems kind of
think
crazy.
the
Because I was remembering, like, oh, vampires don't like have babies, really. So, like,
I think the Crimson Vow storyline has something about like Soren's grandfather
well, yeah, Edgar, yeah, for sure
turning
is
him into a vampire and
that
right.
makes sense. We'll have to go back and research some of that. So I'm a little shaky on exactly how he transformed, but I think this transformation is awesome, and they did a good job with like obviously gaining 3 life through food is the easiest way to flip this. But then
Yeah,
the fact that Soren actually creates food is crazy. You know, a
but
vampire
he's
creating food.
ravenous, right? He's a
Hmm.
vampire now. He's always hungry, and so it's like the
Hmm.
plus creating food. It's just great, and then it lines you up for next turn to lightning helix something.
Hmm.
Uh,
Which is awesome.
but
Plus whatever else you played, you know. Um, this card
cool
seems to
design. I don't
two
know if it's
mana.
good
I
enough
don't.
for timeless, but it's
I don't know. 2 mana 1/4. Like
it
I
could
could.
line up well for sure.
I think it lines up pretty well.
It does
I.
get cut down
You're right. It does get cut
and
down.
fatal push and stuff like that. So,
You're right. You're right. You're right. So it does just die to some of those things. Um,
but it doesn't die to bowmasters, and
it
it
doesn't die to
blocks
bowmasters.
bowmasters well. So
Yeah. But I do. This is the one I think I like the most. I'm most excited for Soren.
same.
Um,
Well, I like
no,
Soren a lot.
I was gonna say, yeah, I don't think this is your favorite one, but this is the one I think could be super sweet. Um, and actually has like a good payoff for life gain for once. Like besides just hey, big creatures, giant
Yeah,
angels, or whatever. Like
there's they're
this
starting to
is
figure out how to make life gain cards, man. Or I guess
yeah,
they figured out a while ago, and life gain cards are just sweet now.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they figured out 2 years ago, and now we're reaping the rewards. The next card we're talking about is Ral Monsoon Mage. I love that name. That's so good.
And that's all you need to know about that card.
Yeah. We'll blast through this quickly because it's not necessarily our cup of tea, but 1 and a red for a 1/3 legendary creature human wizard. It says instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell during your turn, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, Ral deals 1 damage to you, and if you win the flip, you may exile Ral. If you do, return it transformed. Blah blah blah. It is transformed as Ral Leyline Prodigy, and it says Ral enters the battlefield with an additional loyalty counter on him for each instant and sorcery spell you cast this turn, and then it enters with 2 loyalty. So you can either +1 until on a turn you get the same static you had before. Instants and sorceries cost 1 less. -2, Ral deals 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 targets. Draw a card if you control a blue permanent other than Ral. So that's that weird thing that Soren had, the other permanent color thing. Um, you can also ultimate, which is -8, exile the top 8 cards of your library. You may cast instant and sorcery spells from among them this turn without paying their mana cost. That's a lot of instant and sorcery stuff that is
Yeah.
usually not our jam.
Yeah,
Uh,
once I read the Electromancer text, it just that's pretty much stop reading. I don't care.
I stopped caring. The one thing I want to say about this card that's funny, this is once again. I didn't talk about this on the podcast. I talked about it in our Discord, but like what is going on with like red blue cards having coin flip abilities where you want to lose the flip? This card wants you to lose the flip a bunch of times. Like this card is like it's a 1/3, but if you play a bunch of considers and you play a bunch of like sleight of hands or whatever, just random cantrips, every time you cast an instant or sorcery during your turn, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, you deal a damage to yourself. That doesn't matter. You just want to play as many cards as you can so that when you do win the flip, you flip into a planeswalker that's huge with loyalty. Because this gains loyalty equal to the number of instants or sorceries you cast.
Yeah.
So you don't want to win the flip the first time. You want to win the flip the fifth time. You know what I mean? Like in
Actually, you want to
magical,
you prefer the sixth time, but
yeah. But like the magical Christmas land is
you can
like
ultimate right away.
you lose, 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 and then you win.
Yeah.
To have a giant planeswalker, which is why this feels weird to me. The reason I'm talking about this is because Breaches, the most recent like pirate outlaw is the same way, where like losing the flip is better for you than winning the flip. It like seems like winning the flip is better, but ultimately losing the flip like kills your opponent. So like that's kind of the best one.
That's sort of what you want to do. Um, yeah, I was gonna disagree with you until I remembered or like reread the static ability on the
Hmm.
Planeswalker back. Because what the thing I was thinking about that I thought you were alluding to at first was like in a deck that wants a Goblin Electromancer, you want a Goblin Electromancer. You don't want it to transform into something
Hmm.
else. And so the fact that you have no control over transform, I was like, what the hell is going on with this card? And then I was like, it's actually really smart that they made the +1 on
The
the flip
same.
side, the Electromancer ability, so that you don't just randomly get hosed and lose your Electromancer
Hmm.
like
Mid
halfway
combo.
through your combo or whatever. So that I appreciated from the design team. It was like, okay,
Hmm.
it has to have this ability. Um, but yeah, I mean, you're definitely right. You would prefer not to succeed on the first flip
Hmm.
because then it just has 3 loyalty, right?
Yeah, and then you're like, oh shit. Well, I guess I will just plus. Okay.
At least it can still minus right
Yeah.
away,
So I
unlike
guess
certain planeswalkers that we've discussed in the past.
yeah. I guess we will say with this card, play your more expensive card first. If you have a 1 mana and a 2 mana instant, play the 2 mana instant first. That's what I'll say about this card.
Look, it's not for me, but if you like Storm, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Jeff, what is the card for you?
All right. Finally, we're
Hmm.
at Grist Voracious Larva. This is green for a legendary creature insect. It's a 1/2 with Death Touch. Whenever Grist or another creature enters the battlefield in control, if it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, you may pay green. If you do, exile it and return it to the battlefield transformed. The other side is Grist the Plague Swarm, a Golgari planeswalker. It has 3 loyalty. +1 is create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token, then mill 2 cards. Put a death touch counter on the token if a black card was milled this way. -2, destroy target artifact or enchantment. And -6 for each creature card in your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 1/1 black and green insect. Woo! Now, I like versatility in Planeswalkers. I love the -2
Hmm.
as something that's there for you, but you're never like you're actually there for you're here for the -1, and that ultimate is achievable and presumably game winning.
Hmm.
Really cool card. I don't know if it's good enough, but I just love this is so unique. Everything they've done here really rewards you for graveyard shenanigans. Um, but gives you this like kind of interesting I'm a creature slash I'm a repeatable token maker slash a destroyer of ley lines. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm loving the versatility on this one.
I mean, I just want to say, are we playing Jund Scam? Because
Yeah.
this card loves scam,
Yep.
like
It could be
blocking.
turn 1 Grist, turn 2 Double Thought sees you, get a
Hmm.
3/2 menace, get a planeswalker.
Yeah. Uh,
Hey, maybe we just say Fury, get out of here.
yeah,
It's
and just
Grist's time
Golgari.
to shine.
Ooh,
It's
Golgari
Golgari
scam.
scam.
I mean, that is possible. The thing that I like about this also is that like it can scam without grief. Like you don't need the other cards. As long well,
Yeah,
you mean you need the scam cards, but like it works with the scam cards itself. Right?
right.
If your opponent attacks you, you can block with it. Eventually they'll learn they can't attack you if you have any mana open. But um being able to scam itself out of the graveyard with like you have 2 mana open, boom boom, scam and pay, flip your planeswalker. That just feels so awful for your opponent. They lost their creature. I
Yeah,
like
you're gonna get
this.
some people with that.
Yeah, you will. I like this design a lot. And there's a lot of things that you can do with it, obviously. Uh, yeah, I just making 1/1 copies of all the creatures in graveyard. It's just,
Especially when those creatures are Grist and Fury.
yeah, it's
Sorry,
gross.
you know what I meant.
Grief and
Grief and
fury. Yeah,
Fury. This is Grist.
yeah.
Wait a minute. It doesn't
It's
work to copy a Grist, right?
no. But awesome, super awesome.
Yeah, and it wants you to play like a toolboxy kind of thing too, with like,
Hmm.
throw some creatures with good ETBs in there. It reminds me a bit, I've been playing a lot with Agatha's Soul Cauldron,
Hmm.
where you're playing creatures. It's such a weird take on Reanimator, where you're playing creatures that have good activated abilities,
Hmm.
and you don't care about the bodies.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm reanimating this ability. And this is like that for ETBs, that ultimate. It's like,
Hmm.
it's gonna be a 1/1, so I don't care what the body is. What I care about is they have some stupid busted ETB
Hmm.
like Fury.
Atraxa.
Trax is not bad, yeah. Although a big part of Trax is the 7/7 flying vigilance death touch,
That's
lifelink or
true.
whatever, which this, a 1/1's not bad either. But
Yeah, you would have to build your deck in such a way that you would be interested in, like, you would have to make sure you could draw a bunch of cards, which Atraxa doesn't always draw you a bunch of cards if they all happen to be the same type.
especially since this is a planeswalker, but for Atrax's purposes, it's a
Mhm.
creature.
Exactly. Well, Jeff, it's been a great long night. I think we have enough time for probably maybe some big monstrosities, and then we might have to call it a day.
Are there any in this set? If
Is
there are, I guess we should talk about them. But otherwise, it's,
I think we're gonna end things off with the Eldrazi.
how
So
could we not?
how could we not? Obviously, this set is all about Eldrazi. If you looked at it at all, there's a bunch of Devoid stuff. Kindred is the new tribal mechanic. So we've been using the word kindred for a long time. I think we use it differently than other people, but I think the way we use it is probably the best way. It's just kindred is everything. Anyway, Eldrazi are the new kindred deck for Modern Horizons 3. And we've already talked about Emrakul, the world anew. This is a card that you've seen many times before. It's been around for a while. This was like their premier card. But if Emrakul is around, we're probably expecting the other Titans to be around as well. Um,
I
Jeff,
mean, maybe Emrakul is the set symbol. So
it's true.
last
Emrakul
time they
is,
did that, there was no Ulamog or
well,
Kozilek.
I'm pretty sure Umlaug and Kozilek are dead, right? Didn't we blow them up in a fire?
I did want to say, I don't know if we talked about this last time, but uh, I like how the Emrakul art is Emrakul in front of the moon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is very clearly like, I'm
Emrakul
back,
is,
bitches.
yeah. We were like kind of alluding to the fact that okay, that's one thing we didn't talk about. Modern Horizons is like timeless, not just the format, sorry. But I know. I didn't mean to say that, but it like Tamio is one of our characters. Tamio has died, right, in
Yeah.
our story. Or is turned into a planeswalk or is a scroll or something. I can't I don't remember if she's actually like completely gone or just like in a weird spirit scroll
Isn't she
form.
some like thought in a rat's head or something?
Her son's head, maybe
Yeah, she's like a ghost in
in his head. That's
I forget
weird.
the name of her son. But
I don't remember his name either. Oops. Ooh. Anyway, uh, but that's why Emrakul is out of the moon. Emrakul is currently trapped inside of Innistrاد's moons of her own doing, basically. And Kozilek and Ulamog have been destroyed by the Gatewatch. but some of this set is like some of the cards are like what ifs, not necessarily
Yeah,
um, canon. They're just kind of like, oh, what if this was this instead, or what if this happened this way?
yeah. The
Um,
cool thing is they give themselves the flavor, like the theme or flavor is card by card kind of thing, where it's
mhm,
like there are themes going on throughout the set. Like obviously here we're getting told the Planeswalker Sparks of 5 more Planeswalkers.
mhm,
Um, but like this card might not have the same timeline as that card. It might not even be in the same like, you know, of the many universes. If you subscribe to that theory, it might not be in the same universe. Like,
mhm,
here's what if this person wasn't dead, and here's what if they were. Um, it just gives them so much freedom, both with lore and mechanics. They can bring back old mechanics that they're never really realistically going to bring back in a standard set, and they could just add a little more to them. So that's the advantage of these sets is their
mhm.
flexibility, and they don't have to be too constricted by things like it has to make sense that all of these characters are alive at the same time.
Exactly. Which is the reason why we get to talk about Kozilek, the Broken Reality. So this is a
Mm.
9 mana legendary creature, Eldrazi, who is also a 9/9. And he says, as Eldrazi do, they have cast triggers. So when you cast the spell, up to 2 target players each manifest 2 cards from their hands. For each card manifested this way, you draw a card. And then it says other colorless creatures you control get +3/+2. +3/+2 is a lot.
It's
Um,
also very specific,
yeah,
but I wonder how many numbers were tested here.
I'm I'm assuming that a 3+3/+2 is just meaning that like your Eldrazi scions turn into 3/3s, and that's like why?
Oh, okay. That
Because
actually makes
they're
sense.
all
I
zero
forgot that
ones, right?
were they changed to 1/1s at one point?
Oh, maybe they were changed to 1/1s. I thought they were just
The old
still.
ones were 0/1s. I thought the new ones were 1/1s. Anyways, whatever. Making the 0/1s into 3/3s does make sense.
Yeah, I think yeah, there are still 0/1s in this set, or at least some of the cards make 0/1s. Anyway,
Um, yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot going on here. It's powerful, but like 9 mana for that. Um, I guess maybe in Commander, this has more meaning. In like in one-on-one, I'm
ish.
like, why do we each get to manifest 2 cards? What the fuck's up with that?
So you don't have to force your. So it's
Oh,
up
it's
to
up to
two.
2. Okay. That's a lot better. But you could
Yeah.
okay, so you could choose to draw the card.
Mhm.
I don't know. This still seems like as per usual the the weak link of the trio.
Of the trio. I mean, like in the other Kozilek from Oath the Gatewatch that let you like counter things
Hmm.
for free was really interesting and cool. I thought.
Yeah, it
Um,
was bad, but it was interesting for sure.
it's it's
The
I
great
guess
distortion or
if
whatever.
yeah if we're talking about commander purposes, it's a lot better than um, this
The
one
one
is. I think
or better than this one.
yeah, but I do like the choice of like, hey, do I want to basically mind drop my opponent because my creatures are so much better than their creatures? Like them getting 2/2/2s and me getting 5/4s is just a lot better.
And you
And
draw
drawing four
4 cards
cards,
or whatever.
like that's
Yeah.
huge. But if that's your end game, like there are other cards that you could make your end game. I don't think
Yeah,
there's a
I'm just not seeing a world where I play this over
over
Emrakul, the world
yeah,
anew, or whatever. Like,
or even Ulamog, the
mm.
Defiler. Which Jeff, what does Ulamog the Defiler do?
So Ulamog costs more at
Hmm.
10 mana, colorless, of course. Well, okay, any color of mana
Any
can be
color.
spent to cast this. It's a legendary creature, Eldrazi. When you cast this spell, target opponent exiles half their library, rounded up. Classic Ulamog.
Mhm.
Ward, sacrifice 2 permanents, and that's a hefty ward ability. And Ulamog the Defiler enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters equal on it equal to the greatest mana value among cards in exile. And it has Annihilator X, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on it. And it's a 7/7.
Well, 10 mana, 7/7.
Yeah, garbage.
Garbage.
Although might be more like a 10 mana 19/19 because your opponents are definitely playing Emrakul, the world anew.
Mhm.
And
Not just your
so,
opponents. It could be you. This is just cards in exile. It's not
yeah,
even
if your Emrakul gets exiled, then yeah, that's
if
fair. You can control
if
this yourself.
you decide to exile your Emrakul with your own Ugin's Labyrinth, which we haven't talked about yet. But
Yeah.
you do have ways to make sure that there's fucking something gigantically huge in your exile zone. Also, there
Yeah.
are, I mean, I don't know if this deck plays them, but evoke elementals that let you exile cards from your hand. Maybe they're gigantic. Maybe they're
Mm.
15 mana value cards.
Yeah.
Play
Yeah.
Shadow of
World's Fine
Mortality.
Worm.
So, uh, yeah, this card seems significantly better.
This is a must kill. I still
Yes,
don't know that this card is good enough to see play in Timeless in any meaningful capacity. Because
for
the
sure.
thing when they do these Eldrazi Titans is it's like, why would I play any of these over Emrakul?
Hmm.
Because like at this point, mana value is not a big distinguisher. Because
Hmm.
it's like I'm cheating these out for sure. Like I'm not, or I'm power ramping into them, and like at that point it doesn't make the biggest difference. What makes the difference is that it should win the game when I cast it.
Hmm.
Um,
When you cast it is important.
yeah, right. So it's like this one, I think, yeah, for me, it seems like Emrakul's the best and might actually see play. Probably will. And the other two, it goes Ulamog and then Kozilek. And the other two, I just don't
Mhm.
expect to see, really. But
Yeah.
that
I
was the
mean,
breaks. That's how it goes.
it's true. It's true. Emrakul has always been the best. Um, as you know, honestly, it's been so long. I'm just going to read Emrakul for everybody. So, Emrakul, the World Anew, is a 12 mana 12/12. It's an Eldrazi. When you cast this spell, gain control of all creatures target player controls. It has flying. It has protection from spells and from permanents that were cast this turn. And when it leaves the battlefield, sacrifice all creatures you control. It also has another ability. Because if 12 mana sounded like a lot to get it out on the battlefield, don't worry. You could madness this out if you pay 6 colorless mana, like full colorless mana. But this is how you turbo something out.
Yeah.
6 mana? That's all colorless, sure. But Tron, yeah. I mean, we don't have Tron on Arena, but um, that's what this is alluding to.
Yeah. And like honestly, even just doing the whole sneak and show thing or whatever, just like 12/12 flying, like if you can't
Protection from
interact with
shit,
this,
from
take
cards.
12.
Hmm.
And the downside you probably don't care about
Because this is the only
where you,
creature you
yeah,
have.
like whatever. Often good enough and timeless, like they kind of talked about with your uh, super complicated 10 damage combo.
Hmm.
Um, this like I don't know, why aren't we just playing this over the other things with all the hoops to jump through? Um, the protection is where it's at. Like by the time I get Ulamog down, yeah, sure, ward sack 2 permanents, it's big, but like it's almost always going to be two lands,
lands.
right?
You have them is the
Yeah.
thing. It's like Ulamog is like, how do you get rid of this?
Yeah. I
Protection from
like
spells that were cast this turn? Every spell is cast this turn.
right. It's like you can block it. Anyways, we've talked about this card. We
Yeah.
can block it if your creature has been around.
You need 12 flying squirrels now.
It's right. Yeah, they've lowered the number,
Hmm.
but yeah. But you know, those squirrels cannot be summoning
Cast.
sick.
That's true. Though I guess if they're a token, they were not cast; they were just created.
Oh, there you go.
So that's the
It's your
thing.
12 reach squirrels. And it's
Yeah,
still weak to squirrels. Good to know. Good to know.
yeah. Good to know. It's important to make sure that
Some
Embercool
things
can't.
never change.
Yep, that's it. Anyway, Jeff, this has been a great night. I have so many cards I still want to talk about, which is crazy.
I know.
But I think that we might have
We
to.
hit the like
We,
headlines. We hit
we
the
did.
headlines.
We hit the headlines, but I think we're gonna have to shut it down for this evening. We'll get to the rest of the sweet cards and sweet reprints next week. But want
Yeah,
to make sure
there are
we can
some
cover all
cards
the
that
big
people are
stuff.
pretty amped about.
Yeah, there's definitely something that people think is very. I don't know. I was gonna just say the word, so I'm not gonna talk about it. We'll just wait. We'll just wait. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, Jeff, let's go to last call. Let's talk about this beer that we've been drinking all this evening. Unless you have some final thoughts about Modern Horizons 3 before we get into it.
Yes, one thing I do want to
Okay.
throw out there
Knew you had some.
is that and this is very, very important. In looking through the special card stylings of
Hmm.
Modern Horizons 3, I am seeing that the fetch lands have an old border treatment. And so I do have faith that these are coming to Arena. I had faith last time that they would for sure do this because people would buy it and it'd be crazy not to. They never
Hmm.
did it. This time, I believe they would be crazy not to. So I have faith again. It's not the same art as the versions I have, so I don't know if that means I would have to collect these
You'd probably have to
in,
collect these ones,
enact
yeah.
these styles, which is a bummer.
Hmm.
But they might actually convince me to do that if they release these because these are wicked. And I kind of like that they're not all dragon themed. Although I do not like the Bloodstained Mire art, unfortunately, which is the one I'm most interested in. But
Really,
anyway,
I think that's the most interesting one of all the arts.
that one to me is the least like I kind of like just the landscapey stuff for this. This one is very like
Well,
alien. I don't know.
yeah, I guess it's Eldrazi.
Yeah, I don't want the Eldrazi on
Yeah,
there.
I guess of all of them, Wooded Foothills looks the best.
Yeah, I might have to play some Picnic Ruiner in the Timeless if they release that baby.
Yeah, you probably can't play Picnic Ruiner, but Slingshot is,
The Slick Shot I can
that's a
play.
good card. But anyway, love to hear it. We'll see what happens. Jeff, let us look at this beer. Let's decide if it's any good and what we think about it. As always, we rate our beers on a scale from bronze to mythic, just like the tiers in Arena. However, don't feel bad if we say something mean about bronze because, hey, this is just a fun way to rate beers. It doesn't mean anything about what you are in currently, what tier you're in currently, because everyone's in different tiers at different times. So don't feel bad when we say that bronze beers are trash. They're horrible. You spit them out. They're the jalapeno lime kettle sours of your life.
Yeah, as my son would say, yucky.
Hmm.
Silver beers are bad beers. They're macro brews that are boring or just like micro brews that didn't really get there and
Hmm.
they're not doing it.
Yeah. Gold beers are fine, but you wouldn't really drink them again.
Platinum beers are solid and you would drink them again.
Diamond beers are exceptional. You love these, that you show them to your friends, and you really enjoy them.
Mythic, these are the best of the best. You would recommend these to anyone who will listen. These are I don't know, the Emrakuls to the of the beer world in
Mm,
terms of Eldrazi.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
Jeff, what are you thinking about immoral, or I guess immorality? Morality? Yeah, that's how you say
Yeah. Um,
that.
so the first thing I want to say is that I can confirm that it's 9.2%
Yes,
because
it's definitely
yeah,
that.
trying to read those complex cards after drinking this was like, wait a minute, what? Um, in
Yes.
classic, in classic doubled up or imperial fashion, it absolutely does not taste like it's gonna do that to me. This,
No,
I love this. I thought it was delicious. Um, it's very it's that dangerous beer category where it's like,
hmm,
man, that tastes good, and I'm powering through this, and I have to like remind myself this is 9.2%. You got to slow down because you know this is to be savored, enjoyed, and it's gonna go right to your head otherwise. Um, I I wish it hadn't been so long since I've had Moralité, like the original, so that
hmm,
I could compare how much this reminds me of that and like where they amped it up. It has been like at least 5 years, so not really able to make that comparison.
for sure.
But this is really tasty and yeah, it's basically exactly what I'm looking for in an Imperial IPA.
I like this one. I agree that it's very difficult to read magic cards after you've been drinking a really big beer.
Yeah.
Um, though I am thinking back, I wonder if I think I liked like twice as Mad Tom more than this beer.
Okay.
That and I think it's just in the hops that's in it. It has a hop in it. I don't know what it is, but it gives me the first taste was a flavor of something that I was like not super stoked on. But then as I drank it, it did exactly what I wanted it to do, which was pull me in and be like, no, 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 no. You love this. You love this.
Yeah.
Um,
Shh, 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 shh.
so
With the
I'm
many
yeah,
octopus
yeah.
tentacles.
Pulling me down. Yeah, pulling me down. So I'm definitely gonna give this diamond. Um, I I want to. I was going into it thinking it was gonna be mythic for sure,
Yeah.
but it came back just a little bit because I was thinking, I wonder if there's a different hop like collective collection of hops that I like a little bit more. Um, but and
It's interesting
I
because
really like to taste the non double version of this as well. But
yeah, it's interesting because I thought there was maybe like some sweetness going on in the background that I was like, there's something going on in the malt that makes it
interesting,
slightly sweet. The hops didn't seem that unusual to me. The thing I noticed most about the hops was like Citra's in here for sure, and Citra's
interesting.
like Citra's
There's
the yummy hops that like
yeah,
just makes everything
tastes good.
smell great and taste good.
It was giving me the I got like the first two sips were a hint of whatever that sweaty sock hop is. I don't know what it is,
Okay,
but
yeah.
I've talked
We've
about it
talked
before on
about
the
the sweaty
show.
sock
Yeah,
hop before.
and it
Yeah.
had a little bit of it, and I was
And I
like,
feel like it's one that I like, so
it
that
might be.
explains this. Is it Mosaic?
I don't. It might be Mosaic. I'm not 100% sure.
I can't remember. It was a fairly well-known hop that I think we had concluded was your sweaty sock hop, but
Yeah, it's just it's that sock
Centennial
hop.
maybe. I can't remember, but
It's not Centennial. I definitely like Centennial. So,
okay. Okay.
um, because I've brewed with that one, I know I like that one. But
Okay, we'll
anyway,
brew with Mosaic and then also with sweaty socks and see if you can tell the difference.
perfect. That's a great plan. All right. Anyway, but that's my rating. What's your rating for the beer?
I came into this thinking it would be mythic. I loved it. I'm still giving it a mythic. This was great. Um,
Good.
Normally when I come in with these high expectations, it doesn't match. So I was sort of like low key also kind of expecting that. Um, but I really enjoyed it, and so I'm not gonna think too much about it. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say I came in expecting mythic, but knew probably wasn't gonna I wasn't gonna love it that much, and then I did love it. So like, so I'd overthink it and compare it to too many things.
Don't.
Let's just
Yeah.
do it. Let's just do it.
Oh, it's perfect. No, honestly, like if I had another one of these, I would drink it right now. And
Yeah,
even though it's 9.2, I would be like,
yeah,
yeah, I'll go for it.
worth
Um,
it.
yeah, worth it.
Yeah, I
So
mean, Diamond's still a great rating,
it's
right?
definitely
So obviously, it's
delicious.
still
Yeah,
a great
it's
beer. Yeah.
it's a great beer. It's a great beer for sure. Um, just interesting that like Muskoka keeps reminding me that Mad Tom is actually good. I keep,
Twice as Mad Tom is excellent. It's a
yeah.
very good beer.
If
So
only
no
twice as
shame
Mad,
in losing to that.
if only twice as Mad Tom was as good as Major Tom. Because damn, that beer, that beer's so good.
How dare you? Major Tom is good. It's good. It's no
Thank
twice.
you.
It's no twice as mad.
I should probably just drink some more twice as Mad Tom.
I do love how Major Tom has the big cans too.
Oh, yeah, they're huge. Anyway, let's go to closing time. So, as always, you can reach us at Arena Regulars on Twitter and Instagram.
You may also find us on Arena itself under the username Arena Regulars Podcast, probably jamming rogues.
If you want to talk to me personally, you can find me at Zulberg. That is ZULBERG on Twitter and Instagram. On Twitch, I am regular_Zach. But Jeff, where can they find you?
Best place is on our Discord channel if you want to come find the hottest brews across all formats. We have some great timeless players in the Discord channel who I'm sure will be lighting up the channel, letting you know what they're playing soon. So join the Discord channel, and I'll be regular Jeff on there. The link to join is down below in the show notes.
That's right. It's going to be Rakdos Scam, Rakdos Scam, Rakdos Scam, Golgari Scam,
Whoa, weren't expecting that one.
and Gruel stuff. Anyway. Yeah. I was like, is there any Gruel Scam cards? I don't think so.
And Jund Scam.
Scam. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify. Leave us a review there. If you would like to leave us a comment on YouTube or any of those things, it means a lot to us. But honestly, the most important thing you could do is just tell your friends about us. If you like the podcast, share us with your friends. It means a lot. This has been the Arena Regulars.
Reminding you that Timeless is a scam format.
Good night. All right, that's fine.